So working with GoPros has become frustrating with microphones. I just did a whole intro muted. So this is going to be the abbreviated one because I don't feel like doing another intro. We are working today on the 2002 Grand Cherokee 4.7 liter limited. We just put the engine in, we just did transmission service, we just did a whole bunch of services. Now we're taking care of the brakes. So as you can see, this took quite a bit of kickage to get it off. It's pretty nasty. The brakes actually look decent, minus the fact that they've just been sitting for forever. So we're going to replace rotor, brake pads, and the caliper. As you can see on the driver's side, which I just did, we've got brand new rotor, brand new caliper, brand new pads. I'm letting this gravity bleed while I work on that side because why not? His fluid is who knows how old. So this is just going to gravity bleed till I'm done with that side. Then I'll let that gravity bleed while I do this side. And we're just going to gravity bleed the whole system out. I will link one of these below. This is like a syringe type thing. It's got a valve on it. You just put your brake fluid in there, open the valve, put it in, and you know, you can bleed for a long time. This holds a whole quart-sized thing of brake fluid, so makes it way simpler, way easier. You don't have to worry about your reservoir running dry too much, so I like it. So as far as parts go, obviously we need a new caliper, we need a new rotor, we need our pads, a C-clamp, a 4-pound sledgehammer. I think I've called this a 3-pound in like all my videos. It's actually 4 pounds. We got a little tweaker screwdriver, a regular screwdriver, a pair of side cutters, a 14 mil, 2 needle nose, a 7 mil Allen, 18 mil brake cleaner, liquid wrench, lubrication, brake lube, and brake grease, and anti-seize. That's what we're using to do this, and that should take care of us all the way through, plus your brake fluid, of course. I will link all this stuff down below, don't you worry. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and so that we can get finished. Can't finish till you start, so let's go. All right, so it seems that we're replacing the caliper and everything. We don't have to take anything apart. We're just gonna remove the whole entire caliper. So I'm gonna get this on the reverse setting. Squish it in here, and you're gonna grab the 18 millimeter bolt holding the caliper on. And there it goes. Yeah, she's been sitting here for a day or two. Okay, one bolt down. And you got one down here on the bottom as well. Just find that one. So I was banging the rotor off on the other side. You can see how much dust fell off this side while I was banging the rotor on that side. A little entertaining. And I know the e-brake works on this because when I forgot to hook up the vacuum booster, I was pretty much stopping via e-brake, and that worked just fine. So now your caliper should be released. If you have to use a pry bar to get that off, go for it. And I'm just going to tuck that in over there for now. So now we got to get this rotor off, which is going to be pretty much the most challenging project of the whole thing. And we're just going to tackle that by a hammer. Just gonna knock all the dust loose. Next thing we're gonna do that I was actually gonna do first and I forgot about it is for some reason these have these little retainers on them. I'm not gonna utilize those. I'm not planning on utilizing them. That's what your 2 screwdrivers are for and your side cutters. Try and get in there and rip them off just like that. I'm not putting them back on personally. Hit it from the back side. See if it'll release. Okay, we're gonna move our caliper over here out of the way. Hey, there's a spider. Die, spider. He's dead. She's almost there, I think. There she goes. All right, pull that sucker off. This ain't mandatory, this is just what I do. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Havanel tray down there. I'm gonna grab my brake clean. I'm just gonna try and clean some of this crap out. So if you look, At where your speed sensor is, your ABS sensor, I'm gonna clean that all up, make that look all nice, because it can only help. But we'll kind of clean most of this up here. Get all this gunk out. Surprisingly, brake pads still look good. The parking brake pads. Clean up our studs a little bit. So once your brake clean is more or less dry, I'm just gonna take some of my lube and try and hit that spring down there. I'm gonna hit this spring. Some people may say this is a bad idea, some may say it's a good idea. I really have no idea if it is or not, so, but that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna take our new rotor. With some more brake clean, we're just gonna hit this side up nice and neat. We're gonna get the inside as well. Some manufacturers like to put some grease on this stuff just to keep it from rusting in transit. So that's all I'm trying to do is just get rid of that. So once this side's good, I'm gonna flip it over. Put it on. And do the same thing on this side. All right, we're gonna keep moving right along. Hopefully you guys can see me. All right, so this is our new brake caliper. Missing a cap, of course. Why wouldn't it be? I'm gonna grab my 7mm Allen head wrench. Oh shoot, don't tell me they made them different on each side. Or don't tell me they put a stripped one in there. These are remans. I hate buying remans for that exact reason. You never know what you're gonna get. Ugh. And you could do this, I mean, if you wanted to make things easy. Ugh. Oh boy. Ugh. Okay, that's out. This one's out for now. Ugh. All right, so this is gonna go back in. I honestly don't know that there's an upside. Well, actually, yeah, there's only one way it can go in. So, I'm gonna fit that in place. And then I went ahead and anti-seized these bolts just to hopefully make things easier next time. Which if this Jeep runs well enough, there should be a next time. There's that one. I anti-seized the bottom as well, because you guys keep telling me I should. So I am. Now we're gonna tighten these up to whatever the heck manufacturer specifications are, but it feels like it should be right about there. Yep. Yep. Right about there. All right. Okay, so now we're ready for the new calipers. I'm gonna take some grease on the mating surface of the pad on the piston side. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the piston side in first. That's indicated by that right there. And pop that in place. Okay. Now we're gonna grab our caliper. I'm working real close for the camera. We're just gonna make sure that that's collapsed all the way, which it seems to be. This side, we're gonna go ahead and just drop in place right here, because that's gonna end up where that rides. And then again, where the pad is going to meet the metal on this side of the caliper, I'm just going to put a little grease there too. Make sure you don't get the pad on this side. You don't want that. You don't have to go crazy, you just want some grease. I doubt it stays there long anyway. All right. So important to note when you're putting your calipers on, make sure your bleeder screw's always on top or you're going to have some bad days ahead of you. So this is just going to slide in place here, just like butter. All right, now for your slider pins, make sure your threads are cleaned up. I want to take my brake grease and kind of shove them into the hole where these go in hopes that they get greased all the way through. So far, that's worked for me in the past, so that's kind of what I just keep on doing. You do not want these to not have grease. Okay, once you have some grease in there, we're going to throw this in there. Line her up. There's 7mm Allen. Sure enough, that one is. We're not going to tighten it because we want to get the bottom one in as well. There she goes. So now that they're both in and started, we're going to go ahead and crank them down to manufacturer specifications, whatever those are. Which for me, I'm going to call right about there. They're not load bearing, it's just what's allowing the caliper to slide, but you also don't want them to, fall out. So right there. Okay. All right, we're now gonna take our dust caps and plug those off. All right, we're not done yet though. So now, this is my favorite part of the whole job, is getting this sucker on. I hate these things so much. We're gonna start from top. I'm just gonna slide this in. First side's easy side. Second side, you gotta slide in there and get that to match. On the driver's side, I had a heck of a time getting this in, but this one actually feels way easier to manipulate, so we'll see. Oh yeah, way easier, well, maybe. I don't wanna speak too soon, but I already did. Oh, yeah, way easier. So much easier on this side. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure these are seated all the way in though. You don't really want them popping out. Yeah, more or less. More or less it's seated in. So now your caliper should be more or less in place. Slides back and forth, but that's okay. Now that that's in place, all we got left to do is disconnect the brake line from the old one and connect it to the new one. So we're gonna pull the banjo bolt out of the new one. All right, we're gonna get the new one prepped. We're gonna put a washer on it. This one will go between the brake fitting and the caliper. So we don't want that on yet. And there's not really anywhere to put it cleanly. So I'm just gonna set them over here. Oh, as far as removing this one, just set that up like so. Got our brake fluid catcher down there, and we're gonna put our 14mm on, which barely seems to fit. This is probably standard, or it's just so rusted, I don't know. Gonna break her loose. Remember, do not let your fluid reservoir and under the hood run dry at this point. So banjo bolt is out. Caliper's free. We're gonna dump that inner thing. Just gonna grab this, clean it up a little bit. Gonna make sure that the crush washer on the old one came off. Same as on the other side. Nope, that one did not come off. So you might have to use a screwdriver or work it off. They're usually stuck on there pretty good. So it usually takes a little bit of convincing. Switch to this one. Should also be wearing gloves. There it goes. All right, so now we can slide our new banjo bolt through here. Make sure there's a washer on the other side and put your crush washer on this side. And we're just gonna thread her into place. So now before I get too carried away with tightening that, I want to loosen my bleeder screw so that once it's tight, it can start working on bleeding itself out. There we go. So banjo bolt is tight. And now we're gonna sit here and wait for the fluid to fill up in the caliper and start overflowing through the bleeder valve. That should take a good minute or so. All right, so now we have fluid bleeding through our bleeder, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to let this bleed for about as long as it takes me to do the driver's side brake caliper, rotor, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go do that. Bear with me, I'll be back and we'll do the passenger front. All right guys, so we have the front driver side done. Now we're gonna do the front passenger side, and I got you guys to come along with that. It's pretty much the same process as the front, only a little bit easier. So yeah, stick around, let's go. So as mentioned, it's pretty much the same process. This wheel's turned the wrong way, of course, but that's okay. You have two 18mm bolts holding the caliper on. We're just gonna take the whole caliper off because we don't need it. It's not a caliper. There we go. So now we are good to remove the rotor, which is probably gonna take a little poundage. So we'll get down there and we'll just, man, that's nasty. There it goes. There it goes. Clean up these threads on the studs, clean up the surface, clean up a little back here, kill whatever spiders are hanging out. Definitely some spiders, lots of spider webs anyway. All right, once your brake clean mess is dried, I'm just gonna take some of this. And I think I forgot to do this on the back. That's all right, we're gonna be taking them apart here soon anyway to get these bearings replaced. All right, so now, put this on upside down. So we're just gonna brake clean this. We'll flip it around the other way. Now we can go ahead and mate her up like that. And we'll grab a little of this stuff here too. At this point, my neighbor stopped by to BS a little bit, which of course I enjoy. So we have muted the audio. And To put this on, it's the exact same process as the rear, so don't worry too much. You're going to bolt your caliper bracket in, put your pads in, and then you're going to get your sliding pins going in. Torque those down to whatever manufacturer specifications you can find on the Googler machine. Nothing too complicated, nothing too crazy. Exact same process as the rear end. So you've got your bracket bolted, your slide pins bolted, and then you're going to put your caps in where your slide pins go. All right, so at this point, really all that's left to do is put that spring clip on the caliper, which sucks, and reroute your brake line. So I pulled off the brake line off the old caliper, put your new crush washers in with your banjo bolt, and bolt your new brake line in. Make sure you don't run your reservoir dry. Here I'm just cracking the bleeder valve so that the caliper can fill up. Don't be scared. It might take a little bit if you're gravity bleeding. It took about probably 4 minutes for fluid to start coming out of that bleeder valve. The caliper's fairly big and it's got to fill everything up. Alright, so this spring clip, same with the rear end, not the one I did on video, that went super easy. This is more like the other side of the rear end off video. Was a pain in the absolute tushy. I cannot express how much I hate these clip systems. I don't feel like it's needed. Many other manufacturers have figured out how to build brakes without it, but Mopar being Mopar will always make things as most difficult as they possibly can because that's what they do. And well, that's what the way it is, I guess. Funny what a couple day difference can make. Here in South Dakota, I'm learning that the weather changes rather rapidly. Apparently I forgot to do an outro. My neighbor was over here BSing with me when I finished the video, and that's why the last part was voiceover, and I forgot an outro. So now we're doing an outro. It's been a few days, and I'm fighting off a cold. I don't know if you can tell from my voice. It's a little bit weak, but it's actually coming back for the most part. And we've got all 4 brakes done. And when I did the brakes, this is dry and nice, and it was like, I don't know, 75 degrees out, and here we are about 4 days later, and it's 12 degrees outside and snowing. So weather changes very fast out here in South Dakota. But yeah, so all 4 brakes are pretty much the same front and back. There's not really a difference. The only big difference is the fronts are a little bit bigger, which is normal, but the process is the same, so don't worry too much about missing something on that front end because it's literally almost exactly the same process. Same bolts, same everything, so nothing to really miss there. So don't worry about it too much. If you tackle one, they're all going to be the same after that. But yeah, we got all 4 brand new calipers, all 4 brand new rotors, and all pads are brand new. Brake fluid got flushed. Essentially through gravity bleeding all 4 brakes for the whole time I was doing the brake job, we got rid of all the old fluid, and the new fluid is nice and clear, and things are nice. So remember guys, thanks for watching. Leave me a thumbs up, a comment, check out the links down below. I've got parts and tools linked down there. If I missed anything, just hit me up in the comments and ask me. Usually I'm pretty good about getting back to you guys pretty quick. So there's that. Stick around. We'll see you next time. Bye.